On January 1st, 2012, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been furnished by inclusion thereof in the annual schedule of meetings for 2012, which has been posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, faxed to the Hour Town, the Record, the Community News, and the Family Seat newspapers, and distributed to all persons with any requested copies of same pursuant to said act. In case of an emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They're immediately to my right, and the double doors at the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio and may be rebroadcast.
Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Padovano.
Here.
Councilman Savage.
Here.
Fleischman.
Here.
Oriana.
Here.
Fabre.
Here.
Marini.
Here.
Meglio.
Here.
Borough Attorney Ronald Zario.
Here.
Borough Clerk Dean Pellegrin is here. Borough Administrator Roberta Stern.
Here.
Off the agenda, one item, I've distributed a revised copy of Ordinance 6-12. I think streamlines the ordinance and incorporates the intention and would recommend that the council, if they're going to introduce this evening that ordinance, that they introduce the amended version that has been provided and that is left out for distribution as well. That's the item that I have. Councilman Savage.
Yes, I have a number of questions on the agenda. Okay, one's just a clarification with regard to the agreement with the County of Bergen with respect to snow plowing. That's at the same per hour level as it was last year. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, fine. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Other question with respect to Resolution 9912, which is our contracts with the Government Strategy Group for the Shared Service Feasibility Study. Just wondering the terms of that, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Administrator.
I think that actually the mayor might be able to answer that better than I do, since I wasn't here when that was. I know it's on the agenda, but I didn't have the details that he did.
Normally you would expect that in the resolution that we would have that.
I would suggest that we incorporate and amend that resolution to indicate that we only authorize it subject to final approval on any expenditure of funds, because it is very likely that we will have this done without expending funds. We've had discussions with Paramus and maybe Council President Bray and Collaborative Wilmore that this study will be done without expending any funds on behalf of the city.
Thank you.
So I would suggest that we add a line in there that if funds are to be expended, further approval is required from the council.
It might actually be that the study might not necessarily need to be done. I've had discussions with the Borough Administrator from Paramus, and at this point he doesn't feel that there needs to be one done. If there one is necessary to be done, perhaps either the county would give some money for that, or there may be some money elsewhere, or we could probably go in together with it, with Paramus. There's a lot of things on the table, but right now he feels that it is not necessary.
So I would suggest that we include a whereas clause that if funding is to be expended by the borough, it comes back to the
Okay, that's certainly a reasonable approach, Mr. Mayor.
So we can amend that and maybe move on that tonight.
I also had one question with respect to the bill list. Could I address that, Neil?
Sure. Okay. For the CFO's here, so
maybe at one. And it has to do with electricity. And this may have been on earlier bill lists, and I didn't focus on it at that point, but it happened jumped out at me today. with electricity, Constellation, new, and we're also paying Hudson Energy for electricity. Can you kindly explain that, why we're paying usually we pay public service, electric and gas, if I recall, at one time for all electricity. Now we're in a different situation.
Since Councilman Savage, since you joined the New Jersey Sustainable Energy meeting,
Right.
you're paying Hudson for the end of the contract where they are supplying energy to the 150 municipalities in the state of New Jersey that we cooperatively bid with. And Constellation will carry the new contract. So you're still paying PSE&G for the delivery
Right.
And the transmission, but you're paying for the supply with the cooperative purchasing.
So the meeting went into a new contract with a new
supplier.
Okay,
There's a
fine.
different new supplier because they were a lower bid.
Okay, fine. Sorry, I didn't know that. Okay, fine, thank you very much. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Fleischman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a clarification on the ordinance 6-12. No problem introducing either version. The as-amended version is just as good. Just a question on item number 4, section 1. The original version had a $10 fee. This one has a $3 fee. This is what prompted the fee change, or is it?
I think, quite frankly, I think our current ordinance for licensing dogs is $4. So I think to use the dog park, we didn't want to make it more expensive to utilize the dog park than to actually get your dog licensed. So I think that was the intention, lowering it below the
So,
licensing fee.
Mayor, does that mean that we might amend the ordinance to charge more for the dog license subsequently?
You may, if that's what the council wants to do, but, you know, I think at this point, since we're requiring tags to utilize the dog park, then the intention is not to make it, you know, double it or 3 times almost, you know, what the fee is.
I know at some point we had discussion that the money from the dog tags was going to be used maybe in a separate account, so to speak, so that that money would be used for making improvements at the dog park. I mean, that's why when I originally saw the $10, I thought it was a good idea. I mean, I realize some people with 3 dogs, it gets expensive, but at the same time, if the intent was to use that, which was one of our discussions early on, that we would use that money to make improvements at the dog park. So it's not only for the tag, because that...
You have to sell a lot of tags to...
Well, I don't know how many, we have 100 and something licensed dogs, Gene, if I'm not mistaken.
Pardon?
100 and...
No, we have 580 licensed dogs.
Well,
That's fine. But not, you know, presuming not everybody's going to the dog
Use
park.
the dog
If you read
park.
the paper, my chubby little leg...
I know, poor Linus. I know.
My little guy...
he's not going there
I think
either.
out of this council, my dog's the only one who likes that dog park.
Well, anyhow, it is a thought.
I was just going to comment, my only comment is another special account for the dogs, a special account for this. I mean, we have enough special accounting
True.
areas now, and just add to that, okay?
Well, it was just, as I said, that was a discussion at one point, and, I mean, I have no problem either way, but if we were thinking about, you know, putting money together for future use and improvement of the dog park, or not improvement, but additions to that dog park, that money could be used for that, so, just a thought.
I just advise against multiple
Yes.
miscellaneous accounts, you know, of less than X millions of dollars.
Right.
It drives you nuts administratively, I think.
True.
Also, as part of this, is that ever thought to charge an out-of-town, more, out-of-town participant more with this dog park?
I think that would be a good idea.
So we're not going to allow anybody, the dog park?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's open anyway,
it's open
so long
anyway.
as they're licensed
Oh, right.
Yeah, they have to come and
Right,
purchase
right.
a tag.
and purchase a tag from Maywood. They don't have to be licensed in Maywood, but they...
Right.
They have to be licensed, and they have to provide us, you know, the documentation.
Maybe that could be the special account.
No, I don't know if it has to be a special account, but
I-
certainly we charge we charge non-residents extra for everything else because they're not taxpayers. I think, in fact, that they should pay more for the dog park if they're using it, like they do
Would
for
that
everything
mean
else.
$5 or $7? I mean, You want to come up with a number for out-of-towners? I have no problem with that. I think it's actually a good idea at this point.
So, I believe the bid also need to, as we were saying before, they would need to provide that they meet the criteria for being licensed and being vaccinated as well.
Well, they would have to show proof that, in the state of New
Same
Jersey,
way.
they have to be licensed, so they would have to bring their license with them when we sell them the tag.
What do we think?
I think, yeah.
Let's come up with a number?
7. 5 or 7? 5.
7.
Sold. Yeah.
Would you say 7?
7.
Sounds...
7.
7.
Okay.
7 plus 3 is 10, and there you have it.
Got my $10 one way.
You got your $10 one way.
So it'd be $7 for out of towners when we're going to end that. So I think you could probably amend.
Amend number 4.
Law number 4, Mr. Attorney, the fee for a dog park tag shall be $3 annually for residents and $7 for non-residents.
That's just fine. I wish I had a dog.
I think they have foster dogs, like you can get for 1 day or so.
Rent a dog.
That's all I have at this time, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Ms. Oriana?
Briefly, first, I want to announce that recycling will occur on the holiday, July 4th. I believe that Wednesday is Kansas.
Do you want to add anything to the agenda or change anything to the agenda?
The agenda, it's on the...
Well, I have a comment on, no, I have a report on it, okay.
Mr. Ballerini?
Mr. Mayor, question, if I could, to the CFO, with regard, there was something discussed the last meeting with regard to the surplus, and the use of the surplus for offsetting taxes this year. Could you just kind of outline where the surplus is, what this council has done with the surplus, and compared year over year? Because it's, I think it's a little unclear as to what exactly is being done with the surplus.
At the end, I'll start with last year. At the end of last year, we had $1,420,000 of surplus. We utilized in the 2011 budget.
So Chuck, you're saying at the end of 2010, we
At
had...
the end of, yeah, or at the beginning of 2011.
Okay.
On January 1st, 2011.
Okay, thanks.
Let's just do it by date. We had $1,420,000. We utilized $900,126 for the 2011 budget.
Okay.
At the end of 2011, or on January 1st, 2012,
Right.
we had $1,692,499 in surplus, and we utilized in the 2012 budget
30?
I'm just going to get this, 937,463.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the actual dollars and how they related to the budget of 2011 and 2012. So obviously we've left more reserve because we had more reserve in 2012 than we had in 2011.
Okay, so even though we're using a bit more to offset taxes, we still left more.
We're leaving more reserve.
in reserve. And the same as for uncollected taxes?
That's the
The
reserve rate.
for uncollected taxes, we increase that?
The reserve for uncollected taxes in the budget this year, we've appropriated more, $850,000.
Okay.
And last year, we appropriated $555,000. So we appropriated less in 2011 versus 2012.
So does that mean we put money aside for...
Yes, that means we've built the reserve.
For people who aren't paying their property tax?
Yes, because of lots of things, because we did the reval, because of the economy, because of all kinds of issues that affect the way we collect taxes.
Chuck, what kind of stuff, so basically we're stable, that's a...
Yeah,
much further-
we've taken a
further
step to be a little
ground
bit
now.
more fiscally secure with regard to the 2012 budget, because we have a little bit more in reserve than we've had in the past.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question in that vein? Sure. Okay, so we have this reserve, and that reserve is really there for emergency purposes?
No, it really creates our ability to continue to operate the budget when tax collections don't meet the plan that we've set forth with regard to the budget. That's what the reserve is for. It allows us to operate, because remember...
Both reserves, or you collect
Both
taxes?
reserves. No, both reserves.
Okay.
Because remember, no matter what happens with the collection of taxes, we are the ones that hold the receivables. The school gets paid 100%, and the county gets paid 100%. So if we collect 95% and we are owed 5% of the levy,
We're making that.
we have to have that reserve available, because we got to pay the school 100%, we got to pay the county 100%. So looking at our reserves, it's very important, because the only cash flow that gets hurt is ours.
Right.
Because we got to pay the school and county. So how taxes come in, how they're collected on a quarterly basis, has an impact on what we do with reserves.
So could there come a time somewhere in the budget year where we might decide we have enough reserves to be able to pay the street, buy an asset that...
No, because these are cash flow and operating reserves. If you're paving and you're doing those kind of things, you're into capital. So it's another section of the way we operate.
Are the reserves in the capital?
No, in capital we use the management of debt, we borrow notes, sell bonds in order to fund those items.
So that would be the only way to do that if there's no...
Well, you could pay for it directly,
Yeah.
but the issue with regard to that is you would wind up paying for an asset that has a life of 20 years, and you would burden the taxpayers of the year in which you paid for it, as opposed to spreading it over the life of the asset, and the taxpayers pay for it over the 20-year period in which they had use of it.
And that would be the purpose for a bond.
That's the purpose for a bond, yes.
Could you also comment with respect to the surplus? Cash flow, the impact on cash flow? On cash flow, in other words, at the end of the year?
At the end of the year,
In other words,
this past year, cash and investments on December 31st, 2011, January 1st, 2012, we had $3,028,000. Remember, we pay about $1.3 million per month to the school. So even though we have $3 million, we're committed to making this payment. So that's really half of what we have at that point in time.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Already, anything else?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Dr. Maywood, anything on the House President for
Mr. Mayor, the thing I have is in my liaison.
Mr. Attorney, anything on the
No, sir.
Clerk?
Yes, sir. Actually, I just want to mention to everybody, on the last page of your agenda, it was amended to include 2 additional appointments for the summer recreation. That was added to that. So that page was added at 4:25, otherwise everything was all printed, figured we didn't want to waste a lot of paper, so we added that.
And they were added, just for the record, they were added due to the fact that there was quite a surge in people signing up for the recreation.
Summer camp.
I think at the end of, or mid last week, we had 90 people, and by the beginning of this week, we had 147. So there was a bit of a surge that we needed to add more counselors. So good thing. That's why that came in. Anything else? Madam Administrator,
No, nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Chuck, anything on the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor, sorry, backtrack, I forgot about this additional page here. On the appointments for the summer recreational counselors, is there any relation to anybody on this board to either of these people being appointed? Right, there's not, right?
Not on the council, no.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? change? Did you have to make a change for that resolution?
I did.
Did you make that change? And made the change to ordinance 612. If everybody's okay with going forward with that, we will take, entertain a motion. Motion to adjourn. Second, until 8:15. I'll second that.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Febbre?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Meglio?
All right, we'll be back at 8:15, everybody.
On January 1st, 2012, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been furnished by inclusion thereof in the annual schedule of meetings for 2012, which has been posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, faxed to the Hour County Record, the Community News and the County Seat newspapers, and distributed to all persons, if any, requesting copies of same pursuant to said act. In case of an emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They're immediately to my right, and the double doors at the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio and may be rebroadcast.
Owen Wright, who was supposed to do our invocation this evening, is obviously not present. But before we take a roll call, maybe we can take a moment and remember Barbara Stewart, who was the wife of Mayor Stewart. She passed away on May 14th, and she never served office or held office in town, but her husband was mayor of the town for over 24 years, served on council as well. And as everybody who sits on this board, certainly, or that was never served in the public, knows that serving the public obviously puts a lot of stress on the family members, and they also sacrifice to allow the public servants to do their job. And although Ms. Stewart didn't hold office, she shared her husband with this borough for over a quarter of a century. So I think it's altogether fitting that we take a moment to remember her. Thank you. Roll call.
Mayor Padavano? Here. Council members Savage?
Here.
Fleischman?
Here.
Oriana?
Here.
Febbre?
Here.
Ballerini?
Here.
Meglio?
Here.
Borough Attorney Ronald Daria.
Here.
Borough Clerk Jean Flavor is here. Borough Administrator Roberta Stern.
Here.
There are no proclamations. I did issue 2 proclamations last week, just for the record, for council's knowledge, to Michelle Gressione and Robert Bruin, who were 2 teachers who served the borough. Ms. Gressione for 32 years, was a teacher, and 18 of which she served in Maywood. Before that, she was in Lodi and actually had Council President Bray as a student. Nonetheless, she was still accredited as an attorney. And Mr. De Bruin served his entire career, actually, in the borough of Maywood. Spent 42 years as a teacher. There was a nice little reception that Council President Bray and I attended last week for their retirement, and it was nice to wish them well and say thank you. As we've all said before, we all know, there are probably no group of people in this borough that have more of an impact on the future of the borough than the teachers who served at Maywood Avenue School and memorials. So it was very nice of them. Anyway, that's the ordinance.
Resolution 100-12, adoption of the 2012 municipal budget as amended.
Anybody from the public have any comments, questions on the 2012 amended budget? Okay. Anybody wish to move for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Febbre?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Meglio?
Yes.
Thank you and congratulations, Council. Very good job.
You too, Mr. Mayor, and your committee.
All right, we'll now open the meeting to the public. Anybody from the public wish to speak? Come on up, Mr. Vice President.
Derek, guys. Hello?
Just on the bottom. On the bottom.
Hello?
Take it over.
Just want to use the mics over there.
Followed by the baby.
Sorry. There you go.
Hello? Derek Eisenberg, 121 Bell Avenue. Just on the dog park ordinance, I think that if you limit the dog park to spayed and neutered dogs, you're going to eliminate half the dogs that are in there.
I'm sorry, if you...
I said, I think if you limit the dog park to spayed and neutered dogs, you're going to cut the number of dogs in there in half. You might ban dogs that are in heat. That would certainly be a good idea. But there's a lot of dogs in there that clearly are not neutered. I can't tell you for the females, but with respect to the males. And the second question I had was for the CFO, but he's not here, so... Okay, so I'll hold that for another time.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ricky here, Hamilton Place. Regarding the dog park as well, is there a, just for record purposes, what the cost was to the taxpayers to create the dog park?
I think it was approximately $500 in bond, taken out of
At the bond.
That was for the total for the fencing, for everything, $5,500? And what do we anticipate, like the additional, if any, annual maintenance cost now that we've created this dog park? Looking at a $3 fee, I'm just, you know...
Can't anticipate outside of anything else than normal park, mowing the grass and
Exactly.
things of that nature.
And no additional-
There's going to be additional fees unless the fence needs to be maintained, but...
Well, really,
other than
I guess
general
we're-
maintenance of the park,
We're hoping that the actual dog owners are going to keep up after their own
cleaning up.
pets, yes.
Well, that, the ordinance that may be introduced this evening has a provision in there for that.
Right, I saw that. I was just curious.
If
Okay.
it's not done.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
My first question. Arlene Formisano, Edel Avenue. A neighbor emailed me, and she's wondering if the recycles are going to be picked up on the 4th of July, and will that interfere with the parade route?
Recycling will be picked up on the 4th of July. It's not a holiday for Hackensack.
Right.
The route is being reworked with the borough administrator, who's had a meeting that the eastern portion of the town will be done while the parade's going on, so that it's not going to be interfered with the parade route.
They won't.
And after the parade passes 6th Street, the southern end of town will be done. And
Okay.
they are aware that there is a parade going on and festivities in the park that Hackensack. So
Okay, because they were worried about
they are
putting
going to
stuff out.
attempt to do Pleasant Avenue at 7 o'clock in the morning so that they can get that out of the way. They do know the route, and I think Roberta has had a conversation with them.
Okay, good, thank you.
So put your stuff out. Anybody else? Okay. To the approval of minutes.
I move for the approval of the May 8, 2012 work session and closed session minutes, and the May 22, 2012 council meeting and closed session minutes.
Anybody second? Second. Roll call.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Mariano?
Yes to May 8th, open and closed, but abstain from the 22nd open and closed because I was absent.
Separate?
Yes.
Bellarine?
I will abstain from the opening close due to my absence, and I will vote yes on May 22nd.
Meglio?
Yes.
Thank you. bills, supplemental bills that were provided. Anybody wish to move for approval?
Move for the approval.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Sedray?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Meglia?
Yes.
Okay, no resignations at this time. Appointments. We have Vincent Downey as a regular firefighter assigned to Protection Hook and Ladder Company Number 1, effective June 26, 2012. Linda McManus as member of the Recreation Advisory Board, filling an unexpired term effective 6/26/12 through December 31st, 12. And Larry Saletti as member of the Recreation Advisory Board, effective June 26, 2012 through December 31st, 2012.
And 4.
I'm sorry, and the additional summer recreation counselors, Christopher Puglisi at $7.25 an hour and Joseph D'Ambrosio at $8.25 an hour.
I move for the appointments.
Second.
Roll call.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Sedray?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Meglia?
Yes.
Resolutions.
Ordinance Resolution number 9912, resolution awarding professional services contract to Government Strategy Group to complete a shared service feasibility study for the municipal court of the Maywood, in the Borough of Maywood, Borough County, New Jersey, as amended, and there's also copies on the front desk. Resolution 9812, resolution authorizing the 2012-2014 municipal snowplow agreement with the County of Bergen. Resolution 10112, resolution memorializing the findings and determinations of the mayor and council respecting the disciplinary hearing of Joseph Malone.
Anybody wish to move for adoption?
Move for adoption.
Second.
Roll call.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Sedray?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Meglia?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 612, as amended, to include the amended copy, also to include the out-of-town fee of $7, an ordinance amending the Borough of Maywood Municipal Code so as to establish general rules for the dog parks in the Borough of Maywood. Ordinance 712, an ordinance amending the code of the Borough of Maywood respecting the protection of the Maywood emergency personnel and the installation of solar energy systems within the Borough of Maywood.
I wish to move for introduction.
Move for the introduction.
Second. Roll call.
Before all four may comment, because I have a solar system and because this, I didn't understand these things, I talked to my electrician and actually was educated on my solar system. And apparently, all solar systems are required to have those shut-offs because it's part of the National Electric Code. But I was also told by my electrician that whether I shut off the solar current, direct and alternating, and there's multiple shut-offs apparently, it still leaves firemen at risk because there's power in those panels. So
Correct.
this seems superfluous.
Well, it's actually requiring that there be labels put on.
Labels.
So the fire department is aware that the proceeding looks like a plan. So that's the real purpose. Roll call.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Sedray?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Meglia?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood that ordinances number 612 and 712 pass on first reading, and that said ordinances be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the Mayor and Council to be held on July 10, 2012 at 7:30 p.m. at the Borough Hall, 15 Park Avenue, Maywood, New Jersey, at which time and places all persons interested therein will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, and the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise the same according to law.
Committee reports. Mr. Savage.
Well, we passed the budget tonight. That's something I think we should all be proud of. It's probably the most important responsibility of this body. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of thought. particularly want to once again commend and thank the Citizens Budget Committee. Budget Committee was John Brown, Frank Salento, Georgia Picard, and Chuck Perotti. Three of those members of that committee are here this evening, and we really appreciate the time and effort that you took relative to helping Mayor and Council form this budget. Great citizen participation and activity relative to the budget. So, commend you again for that. We mentioned it last week until we passed it. But last week I meant it, but I mean it more tonight because we finally passed it, okay? So I think you understand and appreciate what I'm saying, because you know the difficulty of doing it. You've been through it. Next year's budget will be just as challenging, if not more so, okay? So, again, thank you very much. It's a great relief to this body that the work is done and we can move forward. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
I want to thank Mr. Savage, too. He had a relatively pressing personal matter to deal with tonight, but he chose to come to this meeting because of the importance of passing that budget. And I thank you, Mr. Savage, for your work. And also thanks to the Citizens Committee, and again, to all the members of the council. Mr. Fleischman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to update everybody on the swim pool operation so far to date. We had our swim pool committee meeting last evening. The swim pool actually is in great shape. The management down there has done a great job getting everything ready for the summer. We passed all our water tests. It's clean, it's neat. The staff has practiced and is continually practicing emergency and safety procedures at the pool. We have new diving boards that were installed. We also have ADA-approved stairs that have been assembled and installed in the 3-foot end of the pool. We have a new first aid room and guardhouse, which vastly improves their ability to provide first aid for anyone that needs it. With the help of the administrator, we had the locker room floors redone, new mirrors in the locker rooms, light covers, light fixtures, new screens were put up in the locker room. And some ongoing maintenance issues have been addressed. There's still more to be done down there, which we'll address as we go along and we get going. But so far, the pool is in great shape, spotless, and ready for the summer. Just to give everybody an idea of the actual usage of the pool and what goes on there on a daily basis, we have an outside swim club that uses the pool from 6 to 8 a.m. in the morning. We have our swim team, which takes the pool at 8:30 to 11:30 in the morning, and currently they have 156 members on the swim team, which is tremendous. It's already 18 more than last year. They do a fabulous job. And then on Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, we have our summer camp that tends the pool from 8:30 to 11:30, and currently they have about 150 campers that are there at the same time as the swim team. Then we have swim lessons that go on 5 days a week there from 8:30 to 11:30 as well. And they have 60 to 80 kids in the swim lesson program on any given day. And Friday, we can't forget our water aerobics program, which takes place from 10 to 11, while all of this other activity is going on. So it's a credit to the guards, the managers, that all of this is handled without a hitch. They do a tremendous job down there. So just so you get an idea of how much use that facility gets on a daily basis all summer long. So I just want to thank everybody involved for getting that rolling. And that's all right now, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Ms. Oriana.
Briefly, I know we've mentioned it, but we'll mention it one more time. There will be recycling pickup on 4th of July. The other thing I just wanted to say, I had the pleasure of spending 3 hours with Betty Fetzer, our town historian, getting an historical tour of Maywood. And frankly, it was the most interesting 3 hours I've spent in a long time. I did not realize how much history is here in this town, and I would strongly suggest that folks in this town visit the historical room they have at the Maywood Library and visit the train museum. because there is just a lot of fascinating information in this town. And I want to personally thank Betty Fetzer, our historian, for her kindness in spending the time with me and educating me. I also got a tour of the senior citizen home at Lydecker Manor. It's basically a very nice place to live, and I want to get on the list. And it's been refurbished. It's an excellent place, safe, clean. Everybody there seems happy. And I want to thank Elaine, the manager, whose last name escaped me again, for her time.
Is it?
I don't know.
No, I'm not sure. Okay. Excuse me.
And I apologize for
apologize.
getting her last name, but she and Betty gave me a tour around the Lydecker Manor, and it is it was very helpful and informative. So that's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Valerie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Briefly, from the municipal court, we received our monthly report. $17,653.09 was dispersed to the borough for the month of May, which brings the total disbursements for the year to $99,252.19. For the planning board, the next scheduled meeting will be here in these chambers on Thursday, June 28th at 7:30 p.m. There's one application on the agenda related to residential property. With regard to the police department, applications for employment were solicited and 24 qualified candidates responded by the deadline. Chief Pegg assembled a review committee. Interviews have been completed. The final 10 candidates are in for their last round of interviews. The last meeting of this body, Chief Pegg was in to discuss additional staffing requirements. He's assembling a formal report where staffing, scheduling, leadership, budget issues will be identified and addressed with the Mayor and Council's consideration. With regard to the DEA fund that we are keeping close tabs on, our total accrued forfeiture balance is $349,318. $143,140 has been transferred to the borough. I do request that we have at some point a discussion to formalize the process for allocating those funds for disbursement. It seems as though there's a little bit of confusion with regard to the administration and accounting and auditing of those funds. So your request, I'd like to take that.
If I could request that, if you can sit down with the CFO, the independent auditor that apparently is required for that disbursement of those funds, and the chief, to get a handle on the amount of funds total to date, and how we're going to disperse those funds and allocate those funds. And if the police department has any specific recommendations, obviously, I'd like to get them on the record so that we can proceed with doing that. I know that there was an early discussion on at least last year in the last year's council, and I think early this year about utilizing those funds to pay for salaries and things of that nature. So, you know, if you can meet with those people and report back to us, that would be great.
I will, Mr. Mayor. That's actually one of the approved uses of the funds is to pay for the salary of an officer who will be replacing the officer that's on assignment. One of the other things that I know the chief is very keen to explore is cameras on West Pleasant Avenue. To that end, the chief, Sergeant Korn, Sergeant Patel, Lieutenant Hoffman all attended a police expo, Chiefs Expo in Atlantic City today. I know they met with Honeywell, one of the premier vendors of that technology. They've also got a bid from a local provider that they're looking at. I know there's other things that are in the approved list of things to do that are a little more pedestrian, just things like radios and police equipment and so forth that certainly give the taxpayers a break. Even if it's just $100,000 here or there, it adds up when we're looking at spend. One other item, there's been, and I think probably anybody who was in town over the weekend was aware of it, ongoing construction on Route 17 for the weekends. Last weekend, it was Route 17 southbound, right near the road. It is the railroad tracks that are being remediated underneath Route 80. That caused the closure of Route 17 at about 8 o'clock on Friday night. It was scheduled to go through until about 5 a.m. on Monday, but they actually wrapped up early. So they were done about 11 o'clock. I got a text from the chief on Sunday night that they had wrapped up. For this weekend, it'll be Route 17 northbound. And you can Google it. There's a state press release on it, but basically what's going to happen is traffic that's coming north on Route 17 is going to be diverted onto Route 80 westbound. Familiar with the area, there's a ramp just as you pass Summit Avenue. There's a ramp on the left for traffic to go onto 80 westbound. They'll get off at the next exit, and they'll come back down Essex Street, and then make that right in front of Wayne Reed and go back onto 17. So the impact to Maywood should be negligible. There's probably half a dozen ways they could have done it that probably would have crushed us, but this should work out okay for us. But with that, the chief is is fully aware of what's going on. He's had a detail assigned last weekend, or a detail assigned this weekend. I hope that's it.
Thank you. Dr. Maywood.
Two brief things. Just to address the issue of the dog park maneuvering versus not having dogs in extras. I believe that it boils down to a safety issue. We would be hard pressed to police bringing a female who is in extras, and male dogs, even neutered male dogs, become disruptive and potentially aggressive during that period of time. There will be children there. These dogs are not, by definition, on leash. So I believe the only way to truly provide a safe environment is to require them to be neutered and spayed. That's just my opinion. Morally, to my report, I'm just reminding everybody that Friday is the fireworks. We have two very diverse entertainment sound bands, one from 7 to 8 and one from 8 to 9. And actually, just today we're approached to have a young band made up of Maywood teens. So they'll be doing a pre-show concert from 6 to 6:30, 6 to 6:45. The rain date for the fireworks, hopefully will not put, is July 6th, but hopefully that will not be necessary. And fireworks go off at dusk, so please come down to 3rd and 7th, have a picnic dinner, and enjoy the fireworks. Thank you.
Council President.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Last week's library trustees meeting was a productive one. The new trustees are making immediate contributions, and their good work has been much appreciated by the members there. The architect that the Hackmart Foundation is working with gave a presentation of the various phases of library upgrading. All members were there, and we looked at it. We decided we didn't decide, but we looked at some of the options, and there are still some decisions to be made. They're going to come further with that. There's some security issues that came up, and the director and the police department is aware of it, and they're trying to rectify the situation and make sure that the library is as secure as possible. There's a problem right now with the HVAC system in the library. It's been going on for about since the beginning of December. The vendor who services the equipment is aware of the problem and has been trying to fix the problem and has not been able to get that done, and to the tune of there's a decent amount of money expended at this point. So what's been done is the borough administrator has been put on the case, so to speak, and perhaps you could speak more to that. After my report, I would like to find out the status of that at this point. Real quick, over the weekend, the MYA sponsored the baseball firecracker tournament. The reason why I mention that is because my son played in it and I coach in it, and there were plenty of compliments directed towards the DPW for the excellent work on the fields, particularly Dan Kiley and Roy DeYoung. I just wanted to give some props to them, if I can use that word. And going with what the mayor spoke about before with Ms. Rascione, my teacher, I was very close to Ms. Rascione because, as talkative as I was, my desk was required to be next to her desk, and we became very close. Although just the other day was the first time I learned her name was Michelle, I always thought it was Mrs. She was a wonderful teacher, and she's one of those teachers that you remember. I had many teachers throughout my life, as I'm sure everybody else has, but she was one of the ones that you always think of, and I always used to say, I wonder what she's doing right about now. And then one day, at something at a memorial, I saw her, and I always heard the name Rascione in school, but I said, there's no way that could be her, because I remember her being an older lady when I was younger. But apparently she was very young back then, and I asked her, I said, are you Miss Rascione from Lodi? And she said, yes. And I said, I'm Adrian. And she goes, oh my God. And you could tell that there was surprise, and I don't think she thought I'd be alive at this point. And I actually hoped there was a chance that maybe my daughter could have got her. It didn't work out, but I'm very sorry to see her go. She was a lovely woman, and her husband was a lovely man. They were nice people, and sorry to see them go. I know Maywood would be a big loss for Maywood, and that's all I have right now. Just Madam Arbitrator, Administrator. I was in an arbitration there, I apologize. Madam Administrator.
Would you like me to tell you about it now?
If it's going to be in your report, you can tell me right now, however you feel like.
I wasn't going to per se, but I mean, unfortunately, the equipment that we have at the library is antiquated. The company that had been working on it appears to have been, putting Band-Aids on, but not really addressing the issue. And I called in someone the other day when we had to close the library. The gentleman was nice enough to get there when everybody else was, it was 100 degrees, and that was the day I called. But he did send somebody over to tell me that the problem was with the tracker system, which is the communication between the unit and the actual thermostat. And he was not able to fix it because of its Train equipment. So I've been reaching out to Train. I got prices from them, and I spoke to another provider, got prices from him. They were exorbitant, and I didn't feel comfortable. So a company that I've used for many years, F&G Mechanical, who I know personally, are very big. They worked on some mechanical problems that I had in Richfield to help us out. They're sending somebody tomorrow for a relatively inexpensive fee to assess the equipment and let us know one way or the other options, whether it's worth fixing, whether or not there are even parts available because the system is so antiquated, and then prices for actually replacing it. So unfortunately, we'll be bearing with this. The system is producing hot air instead of cool air, and in the winter it was producing cold air instead of hot air. And again, when you have these systems and it's a communication system, when it stops communicating and you can't get parts, there's not too much else you can do. So anyhow, I do trust them and have faith in them. So once we get the report, we'll see what happens, and we'll have to make a decision. Or the Board of Trustees will have to possibly change the stages that they were thinking of and stick just with the heating and air conditioning system.
Well, unfortunately, that's the Hackworth Foundation.
Right. Exactly.
Still along those lines.
But at least we'll finally find out, instead of just spending money after money after money, putting a Band-Aid on something that has no value.
Yeah, and that was actually
Excuse me.
That was the decision that the trustees came to as well, wherein they're going to forward this on to the library attorney, because there seems to be an issue with
well, the last bill, I had looked at the bills to see, I had asked Colson to send them to me, and the last couple, the technician felt that there was a sensor that had failed, and he had to replace the sensor. But I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but I've dealt with some of this before. The sensor isn't the issue. So, and obviously it wasn't, because it's still not working.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Questions, so my report.
Exactly. It just led to other things.
Briefly, my report again, to echo what Dr. Magalino said, the fireworks June 29th at dusk at Memorial Park. We do have live entertainment this year. It'll be a good time. The weather is supposed to be clear, so it should be a good evening. The parade is going to be on the 4th of July. 4th of July falls probably at the most inopportune time. It falls on a Wednesday this year. So I'm anticipating there'll be a lot of spectators, because there'll be a lot of people in town. So come out, 4th of July, the parade starts at 9 o'clock, stepping off from Myron parking lot. Thank the Maywood Police Department for all their help on the closure of Route 17, and anticipating that this weekend also go very well. The Borough Administrator and I had an opportunity on Friday to sit down with the grant writer and discuss a bunch of items on a hopeful wish list that I think we've been talking about for some time. She is working right now on a grant for a no-smoke system for both the fire department and the EMS, which is coming up against the deadline, filing deadline very soon.
July 6th.
So hopefully we'll be successful with that, and we've discussed other items such as improvements to Pleasant Avenue and park equipment, Chamber of Commerce signs, and things of that nature, and some larger property issues that we'll discuss, but hopefully things will be going well with the grant writer. The Green Team, speaking of grants, I was contacted by Home Depot. They seem like they are committing to paying for all the supplies to do the community garden.
Excellent.
We will find out for sure this week. I have received a string of emails from Atlanta, from the headquarters, and they are enthusiastically supporting this project. We will get a commitment from them, I anticipate, within the next week or so. So looking forward to that, and hopefully moving forward with construction of the community garden within the next month, if all goes well. You all noticed the purple ribbons on Pleasant Avenue. There is a fundraiser going on at the Maywood Inn for Erin Kelly. We've discussed Ms. Kelly, second sophomore at Hackensack High School, who's been recovering from a very tough ailment and doing very well, but it's a slow, long recovery. I would encourage everybody to participate in that fundraiser if possible, and either go to the dinner or talk to the people at the Maywood Inn on how you can help. And that's about all I have. Last final reminder about the plants on Pleasant Avenue. They're looking very good, and they're growing, and remind everybody not to jaywalk again. Take some pride in your town, and use the crosswalks for your safety and for the pride of the town. Hopefully those plants will grow over the next couple of years and prohibit anybody from trying to jaywalk. So that's all I have. One more item, though. Councilwoman Oriana and I had the fun of going to the 50th anniversary of the Senior Citizen Club #1 last week for lunch. Very good. One of the two senior citizen organizations in this town, and they are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. And it was a very nice event. That's all I have. Borough Attorney.
I have nothing.
Borough Administrator.
Mr. Mayor, I only have, actually, other than the library, which we discussed, I also am very happy that the pool is open in really good condition. I think everybody's done a great job there, from the DPW and both pool staff and the young people we have working at the concession stand. There were a couple little bumps in the road, but they were, in fact, half planned, and one was an accident, but it was only on a weekend. As of the 19th, we had 340 memberships, and in bodies that's about 1,062 people, but registration is continuing. It did continue this week as well, and there are a couple of nights that it will be available, so I'm not sure where we'll wind up, but I don't have the numbers from Karen to make a comparison with last year. I haven't been able to find them, but I'm sure I will at some point. But I think that we've been very busy, and our part-time people who've been helping with registration have done a really great job. And that's it.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Anybody have anything to close? Do I do that?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Anybody?